matchup. Jordan Love and Jayden Reed have become a dangerous duo. Reed is averaging nearly 18 yards per target when Jordan Love throws him the ball, the most by any quarterback receiver combo in the NFL. That's the most, okay? They go up against a Cardinals team that just allowed Brandon Ayuk to go for 147 receiving yards. Dan, will this efficiency continue for Love and Reed?
Yeah, and Jayden Reed really has become the second best Where's Waldo chess piece in the NFL. Deebo Samuel sits at number 1, but I love how Green Bay uses him all over the field. They'll put him in the backfield so often and allow him to become that pass-catching threat, the choice route where he can hook up, he could break out, or he can sit depending on where the defense is. That's an easy completion for their offense rhythm-wise. They'll also line him up at wide receiver, and then they'll motion him into that backfield so often, what San Francisco does with the Deebo, and then they'll hand it off to him, and there's an 8 to 9 yard run on the perimeter. And again, now you get him in those matchups where you can create mismatches against defenders that are so concerned with his vertical speed, it vacates the center of the field in so often many different ways. This young man is becoming the Where's Waldo for the Green Bay Packer defense in the way that Deebo Samuel has been for San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan.
That's high praise, and I love how you showed it there, Dan. All right, let's get you ready for everything.
Okay, so let's talk about this. The Green Bay Packers. This is going to be a game that, at this point, I want to start to see the Packers really start to get their momentum going, right? You want to see Jordan Love continue to get more and more comfortable, kind of try to regain his confidence, his poise, his groundedness. I feel like since his return, there's been a little bit of angst, a little bit of angst, which makes total sense, right? And even some rust. It's one of those weird things where it was like he played the first game, but then he was injured and all of that. And so it was like he still has that rust to kind of work through that a lot of the other quarterbacks have been able to do throughout the season that he did not. And so now it puts it puts Jordan Love essentially out of sync with all the other quarterbacks that are playing. And so by comparison, a lot of people have been jumping on Jordan Love, right? I've seen a lot of people who are like, ha, you paid Jordan Love all this money based off of what he did last year for 10 games. He's actually not that good. And it's like, bro, get out of here with this nonsense. And I think even Dan Orlovsky kind of called him out, and not in a negative way. Dan Orlovsky is incredibly supportive, so that's nothing against Dan Orlovsky, but I feel like he did. If memory serves me correctly, I think it was on Get Up, I believe, and they were kind of talking about like Jordan Love has been a little inconsistent at times, because I think it was also Rex Ryan that kind of went after him, and I was like, oh my God, let's settle down right now. Because he was like, I've been looking at quarterbacks for 30 years or whatever, and I know that, I'm not sold on Jordan Love and blah, 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 blah. So, and I find those conversations annoying, and so now I'm just like, Jordan Love, put this to bed, man. Remind everyone who you are, because they're already skipping over you, right? Everyone's already on to Jayden Daniels now, and rightfully so. Jayden Daniels is awesome, and Jordan Love has been injured and all that. CJ Stroud surprisingly hasn't continued a lot of the attention. I think he's playing great, so nothing against CJ Stroud, but in terms of the media attention, it seems like Jordan Love and CJ Stroud last year especially, they had a lot of this extra attention thrown towards their way that really felt like a great buildup, and everybody was really excited about. And then now this season, it feels like everyone has just reverted back to the people who we know, right? Back to Lamar Jackson, back to Patrick Mahomes. Even though Mahomes hasn't even been playing as well as he has in the past, there's still that attention, even on Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. And it's like, again, understandably to a degree with the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love, because Jordan Love was obviously down. And it's, once you're out that early on in the season, it's kind of like, all right, this is the NFL. We got to move on to the next thing. We got to talk about who's playing right now, who's popular right now. We just got to go with it. So I'm looking for Jordan Love to regain that momentum back. And in an organic way, right? Make no mistake about it. This is not intended to be the Jordan Love show where he's like, where he's got to be like, I got to remind everyone why they paid me all this money. I think that's the beauty of Matt LaFleur. And as long as Jordan Love continues to listen and be humble enough and understand, hey, this is about the team, we can do big things. But these teams have been able to do some damage against the Cardinals, right? In terms of even like to some degree, inferior offenses with inferior quarterbacks compared to what Jordan Love can do with Matt LaFleur, with Jayden Reed, and a few other weapons. And so I'm looking for Jordan Love and the Packers offense as a whole to feel comfortable throughout this game. I'm okay with the defense being a little uncomfortable because, as I've said in a previous video, Kyler Murray has the potential, and that offense could have the potential to make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. At times, Kyler Murray, as Shanahan puts it, can be the most dangerous player in the NFL. And I think that's really a fair assessment of what Kyler can do. And so I'm totally okay with some of these types of quarterbacks to just put on a show, because that's what happens. That's why these quarterbacks, if Kyler Murray couldn't put on a show like he could and really just kind of, set everything on fire, he wouldn't be a quarterback right now. He wouldn't have gotten paid the amount of money that he was able to get. So that to me is expected no matter what type of defense you have, no matter how good of a team you are. Those moments are just going to happen, right? So I'm okay with the Packers not looking as perfect defensively as you would expect them or want them to be. I'm less okay with that offensively, because now you got to get to the point where it's like Jordan Love has to get in rhythm. He has to have more complete games start to finish. You want to see that offense really kind of continue to build their identity. And Matt LaFleur, again, the way he calls games, the way he approaches games and his designs, I just absolutely love. I'm a mega fan of Matt LaFleur. So I want to see them kind of, Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, they have to kind of reignite that connection with each other, right? They had it going into, last season and then going into this season, but then they had to change everything up because he went down, right? They had to kind of redo everything. And now Matt LaFleur can't really continue to talk and work with Jordan Love because he's got to go all in on Malik now, right? And he's got to now work with other offensive weapons and be like, hey, I know this is everything we were doing with Jordan Love. Forget all that. Everything that I was preaching to y'all during the offseason, and during the, practices and stuff, forget everything I said. This is different. We're doing things differently now. And now with Jordan Love, it's like, hey, remember when I told you guys to forget all that stuff? Well, now you got to remember it all. But it's jarring. It's jerky, that just is what it is. So it is a process to have to try to figure out and work through. So you can give them grace for those last couple of games, but now these, considering how great I think this team is, how great these players are, how great the coaching is, and how great the quarterback is, I'm expecting them to kind of find this rhythm, find this momentum, and just look like an offense that people are like, whoa, how do you stop that offense? That is a smooth running machine right there, right? That's what I'm looking for in terms of this game, the takeaway, right? It's just that feeling of whoa, okay, that is the offense that we remember, right? Those are the numbers when we saw Jordan Love was the best quarterback in the last 10 games, or whatever the metrics were exactly. That's kind of what I'm looking to get closer to that. And again, having it more complete, not where it's the first quarter was really kind of rough, or the first half was kind of rough. Then in the second half, they got the momentum. It's I'm looking more from a start to finish, right? Not putting yourself on your back foot. And it's I kind of go back and forth because I'm definitely a little bit looser with this. Do you have to win? Well, I commonly say always you just have to look like you belong, or you look like you're the better team. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily win, because I think you could easily lose games and still look like the better team. The 49ers kind of have done that many times this season. And so I can see that with the Packers. I'm a little bit more open to that. A little bit less so just because of the way how their season has unfolded. But I think the Packers at this point, especially considering how good their division is right now with the Lions, with the Minnesota Vikings, the division starts to get harder to win. Although there's obviously a lot of those divisional games that will eventually kind of come to pass. But you got to start thinking hey, the division might be out of reach just because the Vikings keep winning, right? They got hot and they were able to keep winning. It just becomes hard to catch, even if you're technically even a better team than them, which I'm not saying you are or you aren't. It's just then you have to start saying, okay, wild card now, right? And so with the wild card, it's just collecting the wins when you can. So you probably really only have a handful of more of games that you should win, where if you don't win, you could be it's okay, not that big of a deal. But so, I've just seen teams look pretty legit against the Cardinals, right? The Washington Commanders, for instance, were able to really attack the Cardinals, and Jayden Daniels was able to pretty much do whatever he wanted in that game. Jordan Love's that dude, right? Matt LaFleur is that dude. You should be able to have a similar level of confidence and success offensively. Again, defensively, I think with the Cardinals, it will always be a coin flip, right? Always be a coin flip. You can make them look like a car that just can't get into second gear, or they could look like a car that's just going 210 miles per hour, right? And just an absolute beast. So that's why I won't hold anyone's feet to the fire if Kyler Murray's just on one. But the offense, less so. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Packers versus the Cardinals? Jordan Love, what are you expecting to see? What are you hoping to see? What do you need to see from a fan perspective? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.